Hey everybody, how's it going? Josh here. So today's video is about Skull Island. So if you don't know what Skull Island is, it is actually the kind of environment of Kong. And by Kong, obviously, I mean King Kong. So in the upcoming movie Kong Skull Island, it's actually really cool. Most of the movie, if not all the movie as far as we know, takes place on Skull Island, which is unusual because usually a good part takes place on Skull Island, but then they take Kong back to like New York or to some other, city of a civilization, and we never really get to explore for the whole movie the culture, kind of like the inhabitants of Skull Island. So I'm really excited for this upcoming movie. Now, the location of Skull Island is presumed to be around the Southeast Asian area. Like in the sea somewhere, there's an island that is Skull Island. And as far as we know, whenever they've shot in scenes on Skull Island, they've based kind of that terrain on Vietnam. So that's why if you've seen any movies, with Skull Island or even the upcoming one, it might seem very similar to Vietnam, from a far distance. And it's actually pretty cool also because it's not set in present day. Kong Skull Island is set in 1973. So I'm really curious in seeing how they kind of fit, that time period in. But a little kind of overview on the history of Skull Island. According to the mythology of Kong, in the prehistoric era, a lot of species kind of migrated to what is today known as Skull Island. And Skull Island was already kind of unusual in how its environment was. So as, time went by and the ecosystem changed and, creatures adapted, they became what we would consider now as monsters. So there's things like giant spiders, obviously Kong, which in the upcoming movie is going to be a 100-foot tall gorilla, which is obviously huge. And we have stuff like dinosaurs and everything else. So it's pretty cool, honestly, altogether. I'm really excited to seeing it. There's even a human tribe there, actually. In certain interpretations, a few thousand years ago, a civilization from like Southeast Asia went to Skull Island and settled there. I don't know if they're going to do that in the upcoming reboot. It is possible, but chances are they probably won't say how the civilization got there. The civilization, will just kind of be there. And it's also pretty cool because I really think with this civilization, we're going to get a lot of mythology with Kong. Maybe new, probably definitely some of the old stuff, since Kong is basically worshipped on the island as a god. So think very much how they were really hyping up Godzilla as like the apex predator of apex predators is very much that, but obviously a lot more religious with these inhabitants, because Kong is not just the apex predator to them, he is a god to them. So that's very much a very brief overview of Skull Island. I mean, if you want to learn anything more about Skull Island, like I said before, it's a really cool place, but they have, basically think for the inhabitants, like the animals, just giant creatures. I mean, one version of it had like a giant boa constrictor, one had a giant cave bear. I mean, besides the dinosaurs, it's pretty much just giant animals for the most part. But it's also really cool just because, like I said before, they've never really put too much time into exploring the culture of Skull Island. And with this movie not only being called Kong Skull Island, but seemingly entirely taking place in Skull Island, there's a good chance we'll get that in this movie. So with all that said and done, this is Josh. I'll see you guys later. And next week's video, we'll probably go over what is Monster Island. So have a good day.